We're going to now wait. I'll just quickly go through it. You know, for 3 days now, from Tuesday to Thursday, we also posted the tips in the free group simultaneously with the VIP group, so that people in the free group could see what's happening in the VIP group, or what the trading ideas are there, what opportunities you have here, and so on. I hope you got a clear picture. I hope you joined some of the trades. Today I'll show you how they went. Of course, you can't apply this one-to-one to everyone. Some enter later, exit later, enter earlier, exit earlier, and so on. This is a rough guideline where you say, okay, I'll show you what the maximum would be. And despite all that, if you say you didn't achieve the maximum but only a percentage, then you'll know exactly what gains you could have made here. Of course, I'm speaking from my perspective, how I manage my trades and so on, but it's not so bad now, because even if you have a slightly different management based on the trading ideas, so we had 13 trades in those 3 days, which I also posted and always kept you up to date regarding these trades. Yeah, just watch the video now and watch it until the very end. Maybe there's a tip or two in there, whether for free users or for VIP users. All I can say is, for everyone, I don't mind if you use it or not. Of course, I'm always happy when more people are in the VIP group, but anyone who's seen in the last 3 days the kind of performance we've had should at least be in the VIP group. So you'll also repeatedly see the feedback from our VIP users, which we then share with or forward to the free group, that the feedback here is consistently very positive, and that the sheer time savings from our trading ideas, even though as we've mentioned, we don't send out signals, but just the trading ideas themselves will save you a significant amount of time. And when you then know how you must handle these, well, I mean, you should at least much more in the VIP group out there, especially for what it costs. I always help out there where I can, so I give tips, make videos, but it's pretty much self-explanatory then at some point. So as I said, check out the VIP group, send us a message to support. My team will help you there. Well, it's let me put it this way: if someone had just traded along for those 3 days, not with enormous sums, but with just small amounts, they would have at least a year's generated enough annual revenue so that they could be in the VIP group for 12 whole months. So as I mentioned, I'll do a quick calculation for you and we'll check it out now. So please stay with me until the very end and watch it all. I'll also share a few tips with you. And as I said, you'll see how the trades went, where we got in, where I got in, and so on. Also exactly where my stop loss was always set. You always see my zones and all of that. All right, then we'll get started with the Euro CHF. So we had the Euro CHF, or perhaps we should start differently. Let's not do Euro CHF, let's start as I've written them down. So as I said, here I have a small calculation for you. You see on March 15th, 16th, 17th were our free posts. You also see here for trades what our CRV was, and so as I said, it's different for everyone because everyone enters at a different point. Everyone might use a different CRV and so but that's not the tragedy now. Just so you see. Okay, let's start with the USD WTI. That was our first trade. Okay, with USD WTI we're at 1-to-1. Yes, I said I'd take my 25% and I went to break even. So we can just delete this bar here. You can see we had our CRV here exactly 1-to-1. We also took out our 25% here. I had mentioned that in the group. You know, I don't always take partial profits. I often just move to break even or trail my stop loss, or I do take partial profits. I explain this in my videos again and again. And here, as I said, I took out 25% of my trade. That means a quarter of the trade. You'll see it here too. I took out a quarter of the trade here for CRV purposes. That means not 1-to-1, but it was still a profit, of course. He brought it to break even. Yeah, just so you understand this easily now. As I said, we were then stopped out at break even here. I kept you updated on this. That means at some point here, I said I moved to break even because it was in a sideways phase. I've actually noted down here that I took out the 25%. Okay, so we ended up with just a break even at the very end, but it was definitely a winning trade. All right, a win, a quarter of a win, so to speak. Okay, and next up was the KID CHF. The KID CHF was a lost trade. That was our only lost trade in these 3 days. As you can see, we entered here.
So we started here with 073137. Delete that. Oops.
So we got stopped out here, and you see that was our lost trade. No problem. We could have had several lost trades. We always have a good RR, as I said, there. So overall, we don't always need 50%, theoretically speaking, of we win trades, and we still end up with a profit. But as I said, with a lost trade, that's quite normal. We won't let it deter us. Okay, then there was the out NCD on March 15th. That was the next trade. It's the same as with USD, WTI. So the first 3 trades were or rather meager, you could say, but even here we took out 25%. I had also posted in the free group when I made that move. I said I'd move my stop to break even, and then we were stopped out here, as you can see. But we took the 25% here, which means again we took the quarter here. So with these, I'll explain that to you then. When I show you the list, I played with a 250 euro stake, or I calculated with a 250 euro stake. I naturally invested with higher sums. Someone else probably with less, who knows. And as I said, I always need an approach. And 250 euros is a good approach for me. If you have, let's say, a healthy amount of capital and per trade is invested. So, as I said, but we'll sort it out later. Okay, AUT NCD, win in trade. It wasn't a huge win on that trade, but we did take out a quarter of the position, and then we moved our stop to break even and got stopped out. Still, it was a profit. All right, then on March 15th, we had the gold trade. Gold trade was already better. With gold trade, we had a that would have been our final CRV of 9, but it was clear that it wouldn't reach that, but that's how it would have been if it had played out that way. Here we had almost a 2 to 5 CRV. It's a few nuances up and down, not too tragic so far. So as I said, but we had a 2 to 5 here. CRV, let's say roughly, as I said, we'll see that later too. Then there was also the GBBCHF. So here you see where we entered. We entered here. Here in the green area, we have our observation zone. We have our price zone here.
All right, GBBCHF, then the next one. So GBBCHF.
GBBCHF, it went quite well actually, very well indeed. Here we had a CRV, as I mentioned, you're quite familiar with this, below my designated area, the specific price level that I consistently mark out. Below that point, the stop loss should ideally be placed specifically within this particular range. It can already be in position, but that depends on the candle formation or however you manage your trade, but it should generally always be on this specific line here or below it. So that's something to bear in mind, as I've said. As I said, this is where we then got in. You can see where I entered, where it left the price level very bullish, as you can see. We have here a nice 3 or 4 bar play. So we had a very nice start here, briefly came back to the price level. That means we closed above it, then moved back inside, and then had a very strong bullish start. What this means is I opened my trade more precisely here, right at this breakout point. We have a CRV of 9.6, As I mentioned, you can calculate around 9.5, 9.49 in that particular range. After this specific candle formation, it still appeared quite bullish. But as I've said before, you could already clearly see here that it was beginning to show signs of weakness. This means that your stop loss, your SL, should have been placed somewhere in this specific area by now. Let's say maybe in this area, and you see you would have had an 8 to 1 here. As I said, that's variables now. You can't define that precisely. One sets their SL this way, another that way, another exits when they see a specific candle, and so on and so forth. But in principle, we can say that we have achieved a CRV of 9.5 here. Let's assume the best value. But as I said, I'll also tell you, even if we'd only reached half of all the CRVs that I'm showing you now here is always best, let's assume, but even if we'd taken less here, just half, we would have made a very good profit. Okay, we had a 9 to 5 CRV here. I've entered that again, as I said, 9 to 5. 250 euro stake. As I said, our SL here would have been 250 euros. And, okay, that was the first day, March 15th. You see, we got in right away. It often takes longer, but we got in here, and theoretically, we would have exited 2 days later. Actually, almost exactly 2 days later. Or like if we had moved our stop to break even, but we would still be actively in the trade, we would be right here. And if we had consistently taken out partial profits, but I would have said at this point, I would have already taken out at least 80% of the partial profit. So we'd really only be in this trade with 10 or 20%. But you learn how to take these partial profits in my VIP group. All right, let's move on to the 16th third, the GBB CAD. The GBB CAD was a complete and utter failure. This is the point where we got involved. We had also reached the 1-to-1 here. However, I only moved it to break even and didn't take any partial profit. We then quickly re-entered. I gambled here that it wouldn't rise this high again because we have a nice selling formation here somewhere. It did settle into a sideways pattern here, but as I said, I speculated here. CRV was just the hedge here after it hit the 1-to-1. We do that often, and as you know. And I could have taken out another 25% partial profit here, like I did with the other trades. I didn't do it here for whatever reason. As I said, I was rather speculating that we would come down. But I did secure him with I moved my break-even at 1-to-1. That's always 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. At 2-to-1, I always move to break-even, always, no matter what. At 1-to-1, I still wait sometimes, but yeah, as I said, we did it this way here. Zero sum, that means break-even. You can see 0-0, break-even closed 2. That means it was actually no loss and no gain. Good, then we had the Nasdaq.
We have it right here, as you can see.
Regarding Nasdaq, we also mentioned that I exited here. That's why I even posted that I had exited here. After this, it reached our TP1 and our TP2. We exited here, and shortly after, one could have naturally exited somewhere else here too. Seeing that the sell-off was coming, you would still have been in with a 3-to-1. As I said, I was here and I exited exactly at 4-to-1. So even if you had just broken even, you would have been out of it here at the latest. But we did reach 4-to-1. But the trade then naturally continued on. You could have made a re-entry right here in this specific area somewhere. The ideal scenario would have been right here. Whoops, yeah, 12-to-1 ratio, so to speak, if you had re-entered the market once more. Or no ideas. I hadn't set a stop loss, whatever, but I don't recommend that. So this would have been the best case, but of course we didn't. We reached our 4-to-1 here, are happy with our 4-to-1. A nice profit, a clear, quick gain, so to speak. We got in here in the morning, as you can see, on the 16th in the morning, and by by afternoon, when the US stock market opened, we were out again. So yeah, we had a quick sell-off here. Such gains, such candles are usually where many stops are triggered. Pause. Ours would have been hit here too if we hadn't already closed at the top or just moved to break even. Pause. It would have triggered here as well. But of course, we also have our SMR and EMA here, which are always important for me, let's say in the hourly time frame. And as I said, we would have had a great profit here. So once again, a top profit in the nest egg at 4 to 1. Okay, you can see it once again, 4 to 1. That's also a good one. Yes, then let's continue looking. The next one was Cat Jeppy. Cat Jeppy is still open. He's still running with us. Cat Jeppy. With Cat Jeppy, we already have a CRV of 9 to 1, so to speak. We could close it now. Of course, on Monday, as you know, I'm always a little cautious on Monday mornings. Certain things often happen then, that it quickly turns in a different direction or even quickly turns in my direction. But I'm always a bit careful with that. Then on Friday, I'll make my SL quite tight. So my SL will now be somewhere in this area. That means my SL is currently in this range, so to speak. This means even here, I'd already have an 8 to 8 to 8 to 8.4 to 1. But as I said, we're always assuming the best at the moment. And that means a 9 to 1. CRV, we are still in this trade. Our stop loss is located in this area, and you can also see here again nicely how our trade has performed. So that as well, we are still in here. All right, then the next one was the GBBIP. The GBBIP, yes, it's exactly the same situation. Here too, we're looking at a CRV of 8 to 1, or perhaps 8.5 to 1, or even 8.8 to 1, depending on how you choose to calculate it. We've successfully reached our TP1 and TP2 here, as you can clearly see. Even then, we would have only, if, for instance, we had decided to close at TP2, it's usually always just before the thing. So, I mean, we definitely would have had a 7 to 1. So with the 7 to 1, you should at least have everything secured, or perhaps I think I'm only in with about 15 or 20%. I've already taken out 80% here, but you could also close it. As I said, that always depends on TP3. We've actually reached 1, 2, and 3, as I said. All right, here again, we've achieved an 8.8 to 1 CRV, if you want to put it that way, but we are still in the trade. Okay, the EUR CHF position was still active on the 16th of March, but that one is now closed. You can clearly see the sell-off then occurred here once again. It didn't quite reach our take profit 2 level here, but what you can observe, you can clearly distinguish these two higher highs. At the very latest point, one really should have sold here, and that is precisely what I did. So I actually sold pretty much exactly within this specific area. You can tell from the candles that there's actually really strong selling pressure coming in here. Well, a 2 to 1 or even a 2.3 to 1 ratio. So here too, a pretty nice profit, so to speak. Can't really complain, as I mentioned. All right, then let's just move on. So that was the 16th of March and then the 17th of March, the third day that I actually posted the VIP tips in the free group. The AUD CHF was the first tip here. Here we exited at 1 to 1. So here we also closed our trade at 1 to 1. There were some specific things I was watching. I manually closed the trade here. We could have even gotten more out of it. A 1.85, but I closed this 1 to 1 position manually. I had my reasons for closing this particular one. As I mentioned, I always tend to look at things a bit differently. All right, so that was that for the moment. Then the next one, so to speak, was the out Yeppy. The out Yeppy has delivered 3.8 to 1 CRV for us up to this point. The trade is still open. It's currently active, but it's also already well secured. As I mentioned earlier, my stop loss is always a little bit closer before the weekend, which means it's positioned here in this range around 88.20. In this range here, somewhere between 88 and 88.15. I can't tell you exactly from memory right now. Well, here too, 3.8 to 1, so to speak. Again, nice profits here if one had closed now, Friday before market close. Okay, the next one was the NCAP. This one is also currently still open, hence here again a 3 to 3 or 3.3 to 1, so to speak. That one is also still open. The SL was further trailed. As I said, we could calculate a 3 to 0.3 here if we had closed on Friday. Another nice trade. All right, so those were all the trades that we've had so far. One member, I believe, from our free group had asked us specifically about the euro US dollar, and for that particular currency pair I had actually done an analysis, and this analysis, as you can already clearly see right here, went as it was actually, or as I had posted it. I'm not currently in this trade. I'm just using this now, taking it as an example, because a free or VIP member asked me what I think of the euro US dollar. I did the analysis here on the 16th at noon, as you can see where the arrow is here in this area, or perhaps a little earlier. I can't tell you exactly now when I made the post, but yeah, but it doesn't matter. Here I then drew my line. Here would have been a potential entry. Our SL would have been, in this case, below this, located here in this range. We have here a trend line. We have here a higher level, price level. We have several price levels, and you can clearly see it would have moved right into our designated level here. And it was also at this point that I made the post, so this was essentially a one-time analysis. As I mentioned before, I didn't actually enter this particular trade, and then from here it started to pull back. He did exactly that, as expected, and here again I had a chance, so to speak, to go long again and so on. So you can see with my chart analysis and the levels I draw, you can easily follow along in the trades and really work precisely. So even if we've been doing the post for a long time, or even longer than that. All right, so much for that topic. Let's go back to our... So you can now see exactly how such a trade unfolds, how you should determine where to place your stop loss. You should always observe, just like here, when I indicate my price level, where do you enter? What exactly is happening? I always mark that out very precisely with my little green area where the entry level should ideally be located. So you then pay attention, as I said, to how the candles behave, how you've already entered this price level, or rather started into it. That means for me, these movements here are already important. How do I get out of my price level? What is happening here? What happened here previously? This is about the price level, which is important. This is also important for my SL placement. You see, sometimes I set it on this line here. You can clearly see it bounced off here repeatedly, meaning, or here, what happened. So I placed my SL exactly below these wick formations and so on. Yes, self-explanatory, so to speak. Okay, and you know very well. Then you get in, then comes my TP. You should move to break even at 1 to 1 or 2 to 1. That always depends on how you handle your risk reward ratio, and you should always use 1, 2 or 3% of your capital at most for each trade, or a fixed amount like I'm doing in this example with 250 euros. All right, let's move on to our list now. You can see here the currency, STCM, TRV profit, loss, win, loss, lost, and the current status of the trade. I quickly jotted it down here. As I said, we've gone through them all individually, and you see USD WTI with a 250 euro investment, with a quarter 25% partial profit withdrawal, moved to break even. We would have made 62.50 profit here with a 250 euro investment. We had a loss trade. That was the CRV CHF with 250 euros loss. Lost, closed out, of course, that's clear. Auto NCT with a quarter, gold 2.5, GBP CHF 9.5. You see the profits here, and you see these were really all tips that I had posted. You can look that up, you'll see precisely when I posted it. I explained everything to you very thoroughly. I've also been providing constant updates over the past 3 days regarding this post. So if anyone still doubts what's going on in the VIP group now, it's their own fault. Look, no one is forced to join and no one is forced to learn. You're free to use signal groups, but you'll never achieve that level of success. You must understand trading despite everything, even if you're in a VIP group or whatever else. So with me, you learn trading. With me, you get the trading ideas for the system, for the strategy that I use.
There are diverse strategies. There are many strategies. Everyone must decide for themselves which strategy they use. So I don't want to say there's only one strategy, one system, or one way to trade.
That doesn't exist. And whoever says that, they're lying, or that's because otherwise everyone would only trade one system, and then the system wouldn't be like that again, because everyone with a certain system makes their trades, and then a lot would again meet. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to elaborate on this now. So everyone has their own system. Everyone should develop their own system or strategy, and everyone will be successful with their system once they have found it for themselves. It's quite possible that my system might not suit someone, but another one will. That's why you need to find yourselves, so to speak, and learn the profession of trading or being a trader.
Okay, let's move on. We just had these 3 days here. We had a total of 13 trades. And now I want you to really let this sink in. 13 trades with 11 wins, 1 loss, and 1 break even.
So that is, you can now calculate for yourselves what our hit rate is.